What happened to that conviction, John? What happened to that boldness, John? Because it's easy to be bold when that conviction's never been tested. It's easy to believe for something when that belief has never been tested. It's easy to say, I'll stand with fallen brothers and sisters until your brother or sister falls, and you actually have to do it. It's easy to say, we're a church that welcomes everybody and anybody until anybody starts showing up. Because it's hard to see God when you're hurting. They're walking back home and they can't see him. And you have to ask questions like, did you not? Did his voice not ring a bell? Even Mary knew when he called her by her name. Did his voice not ring a bell? Did it not sound familiar to you? If his voice didn't sound familiar to you, what about the way he carried himself? You knew Jesus carried himself differently. They always talked about it. This man teaches as one with authority and not as the scribes. They always talked about how he carried himself. Could you not detect how he... Yeah, glory to God. It happens. That's how fire this sermon is right now. I'm kidding. My daughter always says, nobody says fire anymore, Dad. And I'm like, don't make me spit bars. Y'all don't know what that means, do you? Don't make me spit bars. Jacob, you know about spitting bars. And then they just roll their eyes in sheer disgust. Just like, oh, God. I always thought it was weird when old people didn't understand the language. Till I became an old person that didn't understand the language. Per queen. They're walking, listen, come back to me. They're walking to Emmaus. Could you not see it was Jesus by his face? This didn't ring a bell. Thomas said you could look at his hands and see the scars. None of this registered. And so finally, Jesus starts preaching. Jesus says, okay, I'm going to start at Moses. I'm going to start at the very beginning. We've got 7 miles. I'm going to go real slow for you. And I'm going to preach what I always preached, myself. And it's not like Jesus is a poor communicator. You get to listen to the greatest preacher that ever lived for 7 miles. And then they still don't see him. And then finally they get to Emmaus. And the Bible says that he made as though he would go along. But they said, no, we want you to stay. Because there's something about the hospitality to strangers that opens you up for God to work in your life. We don't know who you are, but don't leave. And the Bible says they sit down to eat, and he takes the bread, then he blesses the bread, then he breaks the bread, then he gives it. He takes it, he blesses it, he breaks it, he gives it, and boom, their eyes are open. And you have